In the aftermath of the penultimate game, 6 players remained. The question wasn't who would win the Squid Game, but who would be left standing when the victors were taken away. Dawn's gray light, filtering through broken windows and grimy skylights, found Jimin and 5 others huddled on the derelict bridge, collars still pulsing but the clicking sounds receding into the depths. Relief was short-lived. The screen flickered back to life, washing the haggard faces in its sickly green glow. Congratulations, finalists! The Squid Game requires a single victor. Your final challenge: find the Golden Squid Statue hidden within the rig's core. First to claim it wins. Others. The distorted voice paused, savoring their fear, eliminated. A collective gasp escaped the group, quickly turning into frustrated shouts. They'd survived the horrors of the Squid Game, only to be pitted against each other one last time. The old captain's quarters, rumored to hold the Golden Squid, was a long way off. Their only chance was to go deeper into the rig. An underwater tomb patrolled by hunters and littered with the debris of failed games. There was no choice. Each player plunged into the inky darkness, racing toward the submerged entrance to the rig's core. The murky water closed over their heads, muffling the shouts and screams that echoed from above. Down here, only silence was safe. But they weren't alone. In the derelict machinery room, tendrils shot out from the darkness, wrapping around one player's legs, dragging him down into the oily black sludge below. Desperation lent speed to Jimin's strokes as she pushed past the others, driven by the memory of her brother and all those lost in the game. If there was a way out, she would find it. In the flooded engine room, thick with rust and the lingering stench of the hunters, Jimin found him. His face pale and drawn, but alive. He was struggling against the current, being swept toward a gaping hole in the floor. Without hesitation, Jimin dove after him. Biting down a scream, she cut through the inky blackness, the faint green glow of her collar guiding her way. Then she saw it. A massive segmented shape like a centipede made of bleached coral and glistening muscle rose up from the black water, blocking her path. Its many legs ended in razor-sharp barbs, tearing through the metal hull of the rig as effortlessly as if it were paper. And from these wounds poured more of the creatures, dozens upon dozens, surging forward, blocking her way. Terror turned to ice-cold fury. These creatures were the reason she couldn't breathe, why her brother had become a monster. They had stolen everything from her. How could she hope to stop them? Desperation lent speed to her strokes, propelling her forward. She breached the surface, gasping, lungs burning. She scrambled onto the bridge, collapsing beside Hoenn. The water was drained, leaving behind a metallic taste in her mouth and a vision of the writhing creatures in the engine room. Only 3 others had made it. 2 men and a woman, all wounded and battered, but alive. One man, his breathing ragged, pointed toward the old captain's quarters. With a nod, they were off again, running across the skeletal remains of the ship, dodging holes in the deck and the wreckage of smashed lifeboats. They slipped inside, finding themselves in a cavernous space, the ceiling lost in the gloom above. Through the gloom, a rotten desk emerged, bearing the Golden Squid, its surface worn smooth by countless hands, yet somehow still gleaming. The first to reach it would win the game, but how? Then she saw him. Minho, his collar still pulsing, but ashen face drawn and hollow-eyed. Hope surged through Jimin, but her brother didn't look relieved. There was something wrong with him, something twisted and alien. His right arm, where the flesh should have been, was a grotesque parody of a squid's tentacle, glistening, tipped with wicked hooks instead of suckers. It twitched, reaching for the Golden Squid. But Jimin was faster. She lunged, knocking the statue into the tentacle arm, sending it skittering across the desk. Minho recoiled as if burned, hissing in pain and fear. She saw not her brother, but something twisted and alien. His real left arm, thin and bony, clenched into a fist and smashed the desk, sending both the squid and the statue crashing to the floor. He scooped them up, ignoring the blood trickling down his face. "Don't," Jimin whispered, fear gripping her heart. Something had happened to her brother, something the game had done to him. This wasn't her brother. This wasn't her brother. The distorted voice boomed from the speakers. Time expired. The golden squid is the key to the next round. Without it, there can be no winner. No one escapes the Squid Game. The very air grew cold as the shadow of the hunter fell over them. The single window in the room shattered inward, letting in a sliver of daylight, the first in what felt like years. From it emerged not a hunter, but something far worse, a withered, emaciated creature. Its limbs grotesquely fused and twisted, its head a grotesque mask of sharp angles and empty sockets. With a screech that split the air, the creature lunged. Jimin and the others scattered, the hunter's claws ripping into the desk where Minho had stood. The golden squid slipped from his grasp, clattering to the floor. As the others fled, Minho lunged, his gnarled squid arm lashing out, catching the creature's leg. It shrieked again, thrashing wildly, trying to dislodge the hooks embedded in its leg. Using all his strength, Minho hung on. "Go?" he rasped, his voice hoarse and alien. "Get the golden squid." Jimin hesitated, torn between fear and loyalty to her brother. Then she was moving, scrambling for the statue, clutching it tight as the ground trembled beneath the hunter's enraged bellows. She raced for the shattered window, bursting through it into the weak sunlight, collapsing on the deck. Gasping, she looked back. The hunter had vanished. From the room, Minho's scream echoed, not in fear, but in pain and anguish. She had won the game, but at what cost? Ahead, a new figure emerged from the shadows, his collar pulsing a sickly green. Recognition dawned. It was Il-Nam, the VIP from the glass room, looking as frail and out of place here as the rest of them. But his eyes held a chilling gleam. He gestured toward the wreck of the tugboat. "The game isn't over," he rasped, his voice unnaturally loud in the stillness. Not even close. Through the gaps in the tugboat, G-men could see it, a massive segmented limb. Like a centipede made of coral and glistening muscle, rose up from the water, tearing free of the ropes that bound it. Then another and another, until a grotesque, many-legged creature towered above them, its eyes like pools of liquid gold. From its gaping maw came a voice, ancient and terrible. "So you have chosen the golden squid," it boomed. "Very well. Let us begin." Behind her, the tugboat groaned, collapsing into the water as the creature lashed out with a barbed leg, embedding it in the seabed. Screeched, a sound that scraped against Jimin's bones, and began pulling itself aboard the tugboat. As it hauled itself onto the wreck, Jimin noticed something, a network of thin, glistening lines connecting the creature to the tugboat. It was anchored here, tethered to the wreck. Why? The creature turned, fixing its baleful gaze on Jimin. "You are the bait," it rasped, its voice dripping with amusement. "And soon the hunters will arrive. This game is merely beginning, little squid." And as if summoned by its words, a dark shape cut through the water, heading straight for the tugboat. More followed, rising from the depths. And in their midst was something that made Jimin's blood run cold, a massive squid. Its skin a sickly green, its tentacles tipped with cruel hooks. At its center, where the mantle should have been, sat a throne. And on it perched a familiar figure, his face obscured by a golden mask, holding a golden trident. This wasn't the end. This was merely the beginning. The worst was yet to come. End scene.